पंजाबी जागरण एसोसिएट स्पॉन्सर ऑफ प्राइम डिबेट हुण तुहाडे शहर विच।
Hello and welcome to Prime. We also welcome the viewers of G Punjab in the US. First, let's take a look at the headlines. National Investigation Agency makes some leads into the Delhi High Court blast probe. 2 persons from Kishtwar arrested and charged with criminal conspiracy in connection with the terror mail traced to Jammu and Kashmir, claiming responsibility for the blast. Union Home Secretary R.K. Singh said there were clues and some arrests had been made but did not give any details. Government takes major step forward in tackling bureaucratic corruption, decides to have new anti-graft courts, sets up time frame for prosecution. First report of Group of Ministers on Corruption, which says corrupt government servants will now face a cut in pension in case of penalty accepted by the government. Sahijdari 6 hopes to vote in Sunday's SGPC polls dealt blow. Supreme Court judge recuses from hearing petition, says he's a Sahijdari himself. Expressing displeasure over the development, Sahijdari Federation says it would approach the Chief Justice tomorrow in one last bid to manage voting rights. Cash rewards kick in for hockey team following uproar. Hockey India's rupees 25,000 reward for winning Asian Champions Trophy draws angry reactions from players, calls it an insult. Asked later, Sports Minister clarifies each player to get rupees 1.5 lakh. Punjab too gets into the act. Deputy Chief Minister announces rupees 25 lakh. The Supreme Court on Tuesday held that death penalty was warranted in some heinous and gruesome murder cases. The court ruling was handed down while upholding death penalty to a man who burnt his wife and 3 children. The decision is significant in the light of the raging debate on abolition of the death penalty in the country.
Amidst the continuing debate on the issue of capital punishment, this is the Supreme Court's take on the issue. The Apex Court has made it clear that judiciary cannot stop using the provision of capital punishment for rarest of rare cases so long as it was provided for under the law. While passing a judgment in a murder case, a Supreme Court bench stated that it was only the legislature that could abolish death penalty and not the courts. It held that the court's failure to impose capital punishment for heinous crimes falling in the rarest of rare category would amount to repeal of death penalty by the judiciary. As of now, India continues to use the death penalty and has expressed its unwillingness to abolish it. This when half of the countries globally have abolished it.
As many as 96 countries have abolished death penalty, while 58 countries including China and India continue to retain it. However, as many as 34 countries have not used it for some time. This is reform versus retribution. That is the debate. And to discuss this, we have with us in the studio Justice Amar Dutt, former judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court, and Balram K. Gupta, senior advocate, Punjab and Haryana High Court. We are also joined live from Chandigarh by Justice M.S. Gill, former judge of the Punjab and Haryana High Court. Welcome to the discussion. Justice Amar Dutt, should death penalty stay or should the law be amended to abolish it?
No, well, the Supreme Court has already gone on the record. They say it's a take for the Parliament, and I stick to that.
Why do you think death penalty should stay?
No, it's a take of the Parliament. The Parliament has got to decide it.
No, but what
judges would not.
What is your opinion? Should it stay or should it go? See, most European countries have abolished it.
You see, it just depends. Basically, any penalty is a deterrent, and deterrents do work.
But Justice Amar Dutt, death is barbaric, but death for death is equally barbaric, no?
You are not doing death for death. You are also ensuring that no one goes on falling back on death for their own own reform.
So you think the present system should continue?
I think, well, it has stood the test of time.
Mr.
And
Gupta,
well,
what is your
the
opinion? Should the present system continue?
I think, yes, the Supreme Court has adopted a very balanced approach. Death penalty in the rarest of rare cases. And therefore, if crime is so heinous, so horrendous as the expression used by the Supreme Court, surely in such a situation, which would be a rare, of the rarest situation, in that kind of a situation, yes, the death penalty should be there. You know, the legislature, the parliament, could abolish death penalty. It has not done so. The reason is that the parliament also thinks the same way as the judiciary is
But
interpreting.
Mr. Gupta, that hasn't deterred the criminals from committing murders.
You know, that has been the story, the history all over the world as such. But look at the kind of crimes which are committed. Our own recent experience in regard to this. Now, such a crime should not be punished with death penalty. That's the question which arises. Death penalty may not have reduced as such, but I'm sure, in fact, you don't have a barometer to really see as to whether it has.
But Mr. Gupta, why do you think some countries have abolished death penalty?
You know, some of the countries they have abolished, there is no doubt, but I don't think such heinous crimes are being experienced by those countries. My own feeling is that that is not so. Maybe the society is more civilized.
But maybe they believe in, in reforming people.
No, reforming people, yes. Even we in India have adopted the reformative practice as such, or the rehabilitation as such. There is no doubt about it. But there are certain crimes where this kind of a policy or reformation is practically not possible. But look at this particular case. Look at this particular case, what has happened in this case. So much of kerosene oil is poured on the wife, the son, the daughter, and they burnt alive. Now think of this kind of a situation. Such gruesome murder of not one but many, should it go without being given a death penalty?
But should there be, Mr. Gupta, in your opinion, a national policy? For example, in the US, they have left it to the states to adopt their own policies on
I think
death sentence.
pardon me for
Yes.
intervening. At this moment, the Supreme Court has left it to the Parliament to do the same thing. If the Parliament wants to do it, they can do it. They are welcome to do it. But
Let me just get Justice Gill into the discussion. Justice Gill, what is your opinion? Should the death sentence stay or go? One could have life imprisonment instead of the death sentence.
You know, my view on this is that, yes, death penalty has got to stay. You can't do without it. But again, as Dr. Gupta has pointed out, it's got to be rarest of rare cases. And so in a country like ours, you had put a question to the other panelists that the Western countries have abolished it. But you see their judicial system, their investigating system, their everything is to a certain extent up to the mark. But here in our country, the investigating system is, I mean, I don't want to criticize it to that extent, which I would love to in private.
Please go ahead.
And the judicial system is so yes, you want me to criticize the investigating system is totally corrupt. Absolutely corrupt our investigators. Right from the head constable to the IG, you got to, the people have got to line their pockets. So,
but Justice Gill, how does keeping the death sentence make the investigators more honest?
Please, no, please let me, I'm completing. My rider is there. Having said this, my rider is there that the death penalty where there are crimes committed against the society in general. You see, I'll give you an example. Like, let's say rape cases. Let's say though NDPS cases where these people are ruining the whole society. You can't let them go scot-free. You can't keep them in jail. They do keep them in jail. Our jails are such like people are there like guinea pigs. There is nothing reformist in our jails. Justice Amar Dutt has seen the jails. He's been the head of the commission. I have seen jails inspecting. There's nothing to do with reforming out there. In fact, you've got to keep those children away from them so that they don't get hardened. A lot of children also get hardened when they go to jail. Forget about reforming them. So I'm putting a rider out here. Death penalty where it is for where the person has committed a crime against society. Generally, like NDPS Act, rape and other cases. They can't be kept in jail. They can't be kept out.
Justice Gill, the United Nations General Assembly had in 2007-2008 passed a resolution calling for global moratorium of execution with a view to eventual abolition. So among the developing countries, you don't think we should take the lead?
No, ours is a completely different system.
So we should continue with the present
system out here. We should continue with the present system. It's got to be death penalty has got to stay.
Right, Justice Gill, Justice Dutt, and Mr. Gupta, please stay with us. The Delhi High Court has held that the system of retired Supreme Court judges advising litigants was worrisome. This observation came on a plea of Advocate Prashant Bhushan, who is representing the NGO Common Cause in the court. The lawyer felt that the judges who were tendering legal opinion were violating the constitution in letter and spirit.
Well, I'll take it on then. If judges,
Yes, Mr. Ahmed Dutt.
if judges, because whether the legal opinion weighs with a judge or not depends on the quality of the judges who are hearing the cases.